Do I need to go up? I just nearly dropped my drink. I nearly knocked my drink over.
In touch with anybody from college. Yes, can you give me the number?
Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Wise Mounjaro, your latest stop shop for all things Mounjaro and my own personal weight loss journey. Thank you for tuning in. If there's one way that you can test if something is working is to put it under what we call stress conditions. And I think this last week has really put Mounjaro under those stress conditions completely. There has been stress and a lot of it. And I think we need to give a little bit of a sort of a run through of what's been happening. By the way, I just want to say before I go any further, I apologize if I haven't been catching up on videos. I know there's quite a few videos on my subscriptions list that I've not yet got round to watching. I've managed to do a few comments, but that's just when I've had a few minutes. But to be honest with you, I think it's a good opportunity for me to then be able to go into what's been going on. If you are a viewer of my shorts, you'll see that we have a couple of cats. We have Peggy and Stanley. One's a ragdoll, one is the Moggy. And Stanley, as much as the last video I said that he has been a little bit poorly, but he's okay, it turned out he really wasn't okay. He ended up with a blockage, so he was unable to pee, which then became an emergency appointment at the vet's. He had to be kept in overnight. They had to do x-rays. They had to give him medication, take bloods, that sort of thing. We're animal people, so we worry like as if it's our own kids. I mean, I've got my own kids, but, you know, we kind of treat animals as family as well. And he really wasn't very well. So they were able to remove the blockage, which was great, obviously. But then they wanted to keep him in for observations just to see if he was okay, ideally for 3 days, just to sort of flush through liquids with him, just to make sure he's doing it. Make sure he's peeing, should I say. So we then had to pick him up again in the evening, take him to another vet because the vet that we go to originally doesn't keep in animals overnight. We had to go to a different one. We then had to sort of repeat everything to the new vets. They then kept him in overnight. But then we got a phone call in the morning to basically say, you need to pick him up. He's so distressed that he's tried to remove his catheter. They've had to sedate him. And I sort of came in, I picked him up, and I was a bit annoyed because they kind of shoved medication at me to basically go, this is what you need to give him, and so on. And it wasn't very clear. So I started giving the medication, but he just ended up getting worse. He seemed worse after being at the vet's overnight than he did beforehand. It came to Friday. We made the decision again to take him into our original vets. They said to us they didn't know if he'd got another blockage because he wasn't really peeing. And so we said, well, if he's got another blockage, what are we going to do? And they said, we're just going to have to repeat the process, but this could be something that keeps happening like a vicious circle. Our insurance wouldn't pay out. We're looking at about $2.5 grand. Because basically he's already had things wrong with UTIs, so therefore we can't really cover for that because it was counted as previous. So yeah, as usual, thanks. Cheers, thanks for that. Biggest rip-off in the world. So we had all that to think about. So basically we had this discussion with the vet to sort of say, okay, well, what are our options then? And then it was kind of, he either starts getting better or he has to have this another unblocking, but then that's going to set him off again, or he's going to have to be put to sleep. Now he's only just coming up to 3, so he's not an old cat, and so To be honest, the rest of that Friday was horrible. Me and my other half were in bits the entire day. He started looking worse. So I think we kind of made not our mind up, but this expectation that it was probably going to be the end. I stayed up with him till midnight, just gone midnight. He just wasn't right. He wasn't himself. And, I went to bed and I was bawling my eyes out. I knew it was like, well, this is what's going to happen. In the morning, though, he perked up. He was more himself. He was wanting food. He was, I wouldn't say he was okay, but he was more like his usual self. And so, a bit more optimistic. I took him in to the vets because they said that they wanted us to take him in anyway. And the vet had a good feel, and his bladder was small, so therefore it wasn't full. He basically said to us, if there had been a blockage, his bladder would obviously be full. Because the original time we took him in, they said that his bladder was when it was blocked, his bladder was the size of a tennis ball. So that was a massive relief. The only difference is that we've now got, I think he's on 7 different types of medication, one of whom is one that we've had to get from a pharmacist because it's for humans, but cats can use it as well. But no pharmacy seems to stock it. So I went to 4 different pharmacies. Nobody had it. The other half was calling places. Nobody had it. So I've had to order it in for Monday. Now he's got to go back to the vets on Monday to just see how he is. And the other half is going to have to say to him, look, we want to give him this medication, but you seem to have prescribed rocking horse shit, basically, because nobody can find it. But it's just so much better because I tell you for why. Friday night, if what had happened on Saturday, or from how he was on Friday night, this video today was going to be very different. And I was really planning, how am I going to do this? Because I still want to keep this up. How am I going to do it? And I was just going to do a video, maybe just with writing instead of me, because you wouldn't have wanted to see me. But fingers crossed. The only thing is he's having to be observed all the time. We have to keep making sure that he's peeing okay, that he's eating, that he's taking his meds. He's been a bit of a git with meds though, but yeah, so that's why I've not been catching up on videos. It's just because it's been chaos. I will watch videos though once everything kind of calms out a little bit. I will start watching it again, but just bear with me because he's picked a good week, because this week I've just had, I was actually on holiday from work. So what a wonderful week that has been. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's not been the best of weeks. And then today's Sunday, so today was weigh day. So tomorrow I'm back to work. Fortunately, I work from home, so I've had to do a little bit of rearranging with appointments, just so I can keep an eye on him, make sure he gets his food and meds and all that. But anyway, I'm just pleased that he's a lot better. This morning he was very much like, ooh, I'm almost like we're back to normal. He's not really eating like he used to. He's kind of grazing now, whereas before he was like a pig. He would just, so we're having to spend time with him. Excuse me. Just sitting with him and letting him graze, and because we need to get him to have this medication, and he's not there's no way we're putting pills in his mouth. There's no chance, not for a cat. But yes, stressed. I started off the video with this idea of things being put under a stress test. My fucking Christ, this has been a stress test, that's for sure. Speaking of stress, I'm also now seem to be developing a cough, so I'm blaming him for that as well, because I've probably been so worried sick that my immune system's taken a hit. My immune system's definitely taken a hit. or the stress has definitely had an effect because, again, this will be something I'll go into a different video, but with my psoriatic arthritis, it's affected by stress, as you can imagine. And so I have been in a fair amount of pain. I feel like I'm about 108 at the minute. So here I can tell that I'm going to get something like a chest infection or something at the moment, but my God, what a week. But positives anyway. I think the most important thing is for me to flip to a quick video to just show you the weighing for today, because I still carried on. I will be completely honest. I wasn't particularly great with food. I was eating probably things I shouldn't have been eating, but because of the stress, I wasn't eating a lot. Okay, so let's just cut to that video now and let's just see how I did. Not been the greatest of weeks, so it'll be interesting to see what this is like. So here we go. Let's see what it is.
Two hours later.
Probably due to worrying. So let's talk about it in a moment. So there we go. So yes and no to surprised, because like I said before we cut away, I've not been eating maybe as healthily as previous weeks, but I've been so stressed and so worried and so upset that I've not really eating much this week. You know, this is the thing that I think I need to emphasize here, is that before Mounjaro, had I've gone through this, I would have eaten everything in sight. Okay, because I would have been like, sod it. Okay, I'm an emotional eater. I stress eat. I worry eat. I celebrate eat. But definitely stress eat and worry eat. That's a family thing I've got from my parents. So I have the same, and a lot of people are the same, to be fair. But this week, I would have, before the Mounjaro, I would have gone, sod it. Gonna eat this, gonna eat that, gonna eat this. I'd have just been, because that'd have been my way of dealing. Okay. And it didn't happen. I guess I experienced what it would be like for what I would call a normal person, where if they're stressed, they just don't feel like eating, and that's not normal for me. So I kind of felt that, and I experienced it. So much so that I've obviously lost 6 pounds this week, so 1 pound off half a stone. That takes me to 19.5 pounds lost in 3 weeks. So last week I remained the same. So I had a massive drop. Then I stayed the same a week. Then I've gone down another 6 pounds. So 19.5 pounds total. I didn't really know how I felt. I didn't feel like I'd lost, even though I know full well that I hadn't really eaten much. I didn't feel like I'd lost anything, but then I don't know. It's so hard to tell. The week before I thought I'd lost, and then I stayed the same. I'm just really pleased because the Mounjaro has helped me to remain level on this week of all weeks. And I think it was yesterday, there was a time when my stomach started rumbling, but I didn't feel hungry. It was a weird sensation. So my stomach was making the noises and the feelings, but you normally get that kind of feeling with it of like, oh, I'm starving, I could eat, but I didn't have it. It was just nothing. It was almost just like my stomach making noises, which was an improvement on what I would have done. So if you do want to know if Mounjaro works through levels of stress, I think it can do. I think it depends on how you are as well and how committed you are. Some people, I would imagine, they would still probably eat stuff they shouldn't be eating, but I just found I didn't really want to. This coming week is going to be interesting because we're still kind of monitoring how Stanley is, but it won't be as bad. Fingers crossed, touch wood, touch wood. Won't be as bad as it was this week that's just gone. So it's kind of this returning to normality. Do I now just carry on as I am, or am I going to get a bit more hungry or whatnot? So yeah. I guess the next question is going to be, well, what did we go for in terms of the next jab? Because the jab that I've just taken, so I've now done one full rotation around the old chest, not chest. Why am I putting it in my chest? My old stomach bum hole. I've done a full lap around there. So I started off, let's say, 11 o'clock. Then we went to 2, 3 o'clock. Then we went down to 5 o'clock. Then we went to 7 o'clock today. No pain, no bleeding this time. It was amazing. It seems my right side doesn't really care. It's like, no, it doesn't really hurt, doesn't bleed. Left-hand side, have decided to order another one at 2.5. I was humming and hawing over it. Do I go up to the 5? I've had some very nice comments, by the way, from people because my last video seemed to get more views than all the others. So I had more messages and comments. People have sort of said, well, you know, maybe titrate up a little bit, see how you get on. You know, if you're feeling hungry for a couple of days before you jab, then maybe it's worth going up to 5 milligrams. I'm going to give it another month of 2.5 just to see how I get on. I don't want to put too much into me. I want to keep it as minimal as possible because I guess some of this is still grey area, isn't it? You know, we don't really know too much about it. But if it's working enough so that in 3 weeks I've lost 19.5 pounds and I've not been sitting there going, oh, I'm starving. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. That's coming this week. It took a little bit longer this time than last time for them to decide that it was okay before dispatching it out again. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick at the 2.5. Doesn't mean that later on I'm not going to move up to the 5. I just want to have another month of this because at the moment it's working. By the way, if you ever see me do this, it's because I can't really cross my fingers anymore. Arthritis and ow, that hurts. So I kind of do that, and it's the best I can do. Crab hands. Same again for next week. So I'll look to try and do an update on Wednesday to see how I've got on. I didn't do one this week for obvious reasons, but thank you ever so much for jumping in. I know probably a lot of you maybe didn't even give a toss about the cat side of things, but I just wanted to throw that out there first and just to let you know whether Mounjaro works under complete and utter chaos. And it really does. If you like this, like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to. Again, this is all about me logging my journey. It's if you want to come along for the ride, you can. If you don't, that's fine. I just want to carry on doing this. But anyways, I'll see you again soon. And look after yourself. It's crazy out there.